Welcome back to Contextual Electronics. This is going to be a walk through the module or footprint editor, and this is the beginning of the module about footprints in the KiCad course of Contextual Electronics. So let's launch up the KiCad launcher. All right. And to get to the footprint editor or the module editor, and KiCad does officially call it the module editor, we go through PCB-New, which is the layout program in KiCad. So that's a first step that's kind of confusing and a little bit annoying. The only way to access it is actually through here. So now that we are in here, we see up here the module editor. So there's two things. There's the module viewer and there's the module editor. Module viewer just allowing you to see all the footprints, and you can go through and actually select specific footprints if you want to just see previews of them. And then you can also look at 3D models if they happen to be there and such. All right, we will get to that stuff later though. Let's actually go into the footprint editor or the module editor, and let's take a look around here. So if you remember from the symbol editor, which is part of the schematic program, in the symbol editor we actually create the representations of the components to hook up to one another in the schematic. The module editor actually is what is going to be placed onto your PCB. So this is actually going to be, the silk screen and the solder mask and the copper layers and everything composing a footprint of a component will be created in here. So to start off, let's just take a look at one. So we actually will have to select the library, and we'll just select a random library here. Let's actually look at the discrete library, which they spell wrong for some reason. We can open the viewer again, but instead we actually want to open the module. So let's list all like we always do, and let's just go through here and pick a random component. Something not boring, hopefully. Here we go. That looks like a active component. All right, 3-pin active component. We see there are three pins. These are actually through-hole components. You can tell from the X, which indicates a drill, and then there is an annular ring around that actually refers to how much. That's basically what you solder to. That is the annular ring there. So that's relatively simple, but that is a good indication of what we'll be looking at here. So there's an outline, which is actually going to be in the silk screen. There's informational stuff here, so such as the part number and then a reference designator. And then you have the pads as well. So if we're looking through the top level here, so first off, the library, selecting your active library, that's actually what we did at the beginning here. So you can actually select which library you want to work from, similar to the symbol editor where you actually have to pick which library you want to work from. You can save the library, or save the module in the library rather. You can actually create a new library. You can open the viewer like we looked at before. You can delete parts. And now we actually get into creating new ones. So if we wanted to create an entirely new part, we actually go to Create New. And this actually allows us to name a new one. So brand new footprint, we'll call it. All right, and we're starting from scratch here, and we'll go through actually building one later. This is actually opening existing ones. This is loading from the current board, updating the module in your current board. So if you update something, you want to push it back. This is your inserting it into the current board, and then importing, exporting, undo, redo, settings for the entire module, printing it, all your zoom functions. This is your pad settings, and then finally checking your module if you want to actually do a check on, to make sure you don't have pins overlaid or interference problems and such. On the left side, this stuff's all pretty standard. Your grid size, if you want to change to a different coordinate system, if you want to change between inches and millimeters, if you want to change your cursor system here. This one is if you want to show pads in outline mode, and we can actually look at that once we open up a new one. Show text sketch, and finally show your edge sketch. On the right side in KiCad, of course, we always have all of the action buttons. This is just to select your cursor. This is for new pads. This is for drawing shapes, and that can be in multiple layers. That can be in your copper layer or in your silkscreen layer, arcs, circles, arcs, text. If you want to change your anchor, where your actual anchor point is in your schematic here, you can trash it, and then you can set the origin point for your grid. All right, so that is a very, very simple overview. Let's go through and actually open up a different footprint here. So this will trash the one we just created. All right, let's list all, and we're still in the discrete library here. So maybe that's a bad first place, but so let's move out of the discrete library. Let's actually move into something a little more interesting. Let's go into the, how about PGA sockets? All right, we open up here. List all. That's a little less boring. This is actually part of the library I imported earlier, but you can see that this is a slightly more interesting footprint here. So if we toggle on the pads in outline mode, we can actually show it's a little bit lighter, it's a little bit easier to view possibly. And then we can actually start modifying this. We don't necessarily want to do that, and we'll go over this in a little bit more depth, but we could open up the pads. We can add another pad here. We click to add a pad, and then we actually click here. This is a default pad. We can also go in, mouse over it, hit E, and then actually go into the pad dialog. And this is actually where it starts to, this is really where you start to, the rubber hits the road. All right, so yeah, we'll actually close out of this. We want to make sure we don't save this. So that's actually deleting item. Sorry. So we'll just close the program here and end the video. But if you have any questions, you can always head over to the forum and ask questions just about the intro to the module editor.